We continue Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, text number 12. Ishukavacha Nama Padasme Purashaya Bhuyase Sat Udbhavastana Nirodha Lilaya Grihita Shakti Tritaya Dehinam Anta Bhavaya Pradakshaya Vatmane. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole, residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable." The material world is a manifestation of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the Supreme Lord, for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, accepts three predominating forms as Brahmā, Viṣṇu, and Sankara, Śiva. As Viṣṇu, he enters into every body materially created. As Garbhodakshay Viṣṇu, he enters into every universe, and as Śrīla Viṣṇu, he enters the body of all Viṣṇu Tattvas, is addressed here as Parapuman or Purushottama, as described in the Bhagavad Gita 15:18. He is the complete whole. The Purusha avatars are therefore his plenary expansions. Bhakti Yoga is the only process by which one can become competent to know him, because the empiric philosophers and mystic yogis cannot conceive of the personality of Godhead. He is called Anupalakshita Vatmane, the Lord of the inconceivable way, or Bhakti Yoga. Yantimanandasya Jnāna Shalakya Chakshumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Garamayam Dadati Svavanantikam Vanchakalpataru Vishcha Prasindhu Vyavicha Patitanam Dhammo Vaishamyam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. The Lord is inconceivable. There's no way to understand Krishna unless we accept that he's Acintya, inconceivable. This Acintya Shakti needs to be acknowledged, needs to be accepted as a fact. Otherwise, there is no scope to understanding Krishna, because Krishna is beyond logic. Here he's already said, it's already understood that he's beyond the material nature, beyond the modes of material nature. And here we see that he does, for the purpose of creation, accept the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. For the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, manifesting as the guna avatars, Brahmā, Viṣṇu, and Śiva. And I remember growing up as a Hindu, and yes, these three predominating deities were always spoken about, but usually Lord Śiva was considered the supreme because he destroyed everything. Some thought Lord Brahmā is the supreme because he creates everything. And Viṣṇu, it seemed that he wasn't so prominent, even though so many avatars, so many stories about his incarnations, even stories about how he would relate to both Brahmā and Śiva. And such stories they weren't read. They were like, you watch devotional movies and you're like, okay, that's how it is. And we find that a lot with our preaching. If going on book distribution, then you meet someone and you hand them a Bhagavad Gita, and they say, "Oh, I am knowing everything." Actually, I have too much knowledge of the Krishna. I watched the Krishna series on the television, so I know too much about Krishna. So no one tries to investigate the fact that these what's been happening with making these movies or serials, that they don't present exactly what the scripture is saying, and not in the same spirit of what the purpose of the scripture is, or the purpose of the pastime. It's not like after watching a serial, then, okay, now we have given up our sinful activities. Now we've dedicated to devotional service. So even though we have access to media in all forms, in the form of songs or movies, artwork, unless it has that consciousness that this is for the service of the Lord, then it cannot change the heart. For most of us, when we ran into Srila Prabhupada's books, this is the only time we changed our stance towards the Supreme Lord, or towards the Vedic deities that we've always known about. And obviously this pastime of Bhṛgu Muni is so going to actually establish who is the Supreme. And you've probably seen a movie about it, but still it didn't change you. So we'll relate to it just for the fact of hearing Krishna Katha and to be purified. So Bhṛgu Muni and the other great sages were discussing who is the Supreme, Brahmā, Viṣṇu, and Śiva. So Lord Brahmā, Bhṛgu Muni was deputed to investigate who is the Supreme. And Bhṛgu Muni, being the son of Lord Brahmā, when he approached his father, Lord Brahmā, he didn't offer proper respects. And Lord Brahmā was very angry. But because he was able to control his anger, he didn't punish him or retaliate. And Bhṛgu Muni saw this anger appear in Lord Brahmā. So he said, okay, he's not the Supreme. Then he approached his brother, because Lord Śiva comes from between the eyebrows of Lord Brahmā. And as Lord Śiva came to, oh, my dear brother, Bhṛgu Muni, tried to embrace him. And then Bhṛgu Muni says, no, stay away from me. You're contaminated, you're disgusting. Look, you're covered in ash, you live in crematoriums, just stay away from me. And Lord Śiva is known as Ashutosh, who is easily pleased and easily angered, and was about to kill Bhṛgu Muni on the spot. But then his consort, Parvati, stopped him. So then Bhṛgu saw, okay, some anger here. I guess he's not the Supreme. Then he comes to the abode of Lord Viṣṇu as he's lying on Anantashesh, being massaged, his feet massaged by Lakshmi Devi. And Bhṛgu Muni goes right up to him and kicks him on his chest. He kicks Viṣṇu on his chest. And then the Lord is awakened and he sees, oh, it's Bhṛgu Muni, oh, great Brahmana. And he's like, oh, sorry, I haven't received you properly. Was my chest so hard that I hurt your foot? I should massage them, I should wash them, because great Brahmanas have come. I'm so sorry I couldn't serve you properly. So then, because he had great tolerance, Lord Viṣṇu was considered the Supreme amongst his test. And many other didactic or instructions coming through on this pastime that one can be offended by them on the mental platform from the mind, with words and with physical. Yes, if one is able to tolerate, then they're considered a great personality. We see with Maharaj Chittaketu, when he was actually joking, speaking that, wow, look at Lord Shiva, he's giving a Bhagavatam class amongst great sages while embracing his wife on his lap. What an amazing personality. Parvati took it as he was insulting Lord Shiva and cursed him. And Lord Shiva laughed. He says, wow, Chitraketu just accepted it. Oh, my dear mother, you have cursed me. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I will take whatever you need to give me. And Lord Shiva said, wow, this pure devotee's tolerance, Maharaj Chitraketu's tolerance, is more powerful than your aggression. So tolerance can go a long way, actually. You'll be surprised how much you can tolerate, especially if your parents, if you have kids that are running around and doing what they want, even though you have so many plans for them, they will, from what I hear from parents, they're like a mirror. And they really like pull out your anatas, test you to the maximum degree. And we can see that the Supreme Father Viṣṇu, Kṛṣṇa, is tolerating a lot from his children as well. So, and why do we tolerate the children? Why is the Lord tolerating us? Because we just have so much love and affection for them. Our whole existence is only there for their benefit. We will never do anything for their suffering or distress. You will never, a real parent, I don't know about modern times, some parents are just like, unfortunately full of envy, very easily to neglect and disregard children. But Kṛṣṇa is nowhere near like that. He's like, his love is like the love of millions of loving mothers together. So yes, so he wants us to be happy. So then he's manifesting as these three deities, Garbhadakshay Viṣṇu, Kshirodakshay Viṣṇu, and Karnadakshay Viṣṇu. This is all for our benefit. He's not going to let us stray too far away from him, even though we don't want to be with him. This is the most amazing thing about Kṛṣṇa, that he's always ready to not just fulfill our foolish desires to live without him in the material world, but he's ready to be there even as the Supersoul in your own heart. This material world is described to be like a prison. And you could say your body is like a prison suit. And yes, people get sentenced to jail all the time. Imagine someone, you yourself were sentenced for murder, life in jail. And then you have a friend next to you. He didn't do anything wrong. He says, I will come with you. So this is like Kṛṣṇa as a Supersoul. Even in the body of the most evil personalities in history, people who cause genocide and people exploiting women, children, and animals to a disgusting degree. Full perversion taking place. We hear about it, we know about it, and it seems like there's nothing we can do. But why is still Kṛṣṇa in the heart of that person? Because his love knows no bounds. So what to speak of us trying to connect to him? Of course, he's so pleased with us, just here and now, trying to hear his glories, trying to hear ways of how to connect to him more deeper. His character is spotless. His character is ever-expanding, blissful, loving reciprocation with all living entities. Being known as a tutor, never failing to recognize even the smallest service rendered by any living entity. So where is what is holding us back? What is stopping us from experiencing that love of Krishna? You know, he's the supreme lover. He's ready to embrace everyone. And we claim, yes, we're trying to connect and love Krishna, but we don't feel anything, especially when we chant our rounds. Where's the feeling? How can we not, what's holding us back? You know, we chant, we do the rounds, we've ticked the list. We've gone to the artis, we've gone to parikrams, we've gone around Govardhan. There's still no feeling. Chanted 64 rounds, no feeling. So as the Ishopanishad says that Krishna is the complete whole, and Prabhupada very expertly, eloquently, poetically says that incomplete knowledge, experience of incompleteness is due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. I'll say it again. Experience of incompleteness is due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So we need to get more knowledge about Krishna. And the only way to know Krishna is through Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Manava Janati Yavanyas Jasmi Tatvata. Krishna says that the only way to know me is through Bhakti, to know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's from Bhakti that, or renunciation, detachment, vairagya, and jnana, knowledge is acquired. And knowledge only means, Vedas chasavaham evavedyo. Knowledge is only, the only purpose of knowledge is to know Krishna. And when one knows Krishna, automatically you fall in love with him because it's so wonderful. That's where the feeling comes from. So Prabhupada has given us such a gift with all these books, given us a gift with this movement and temples that are full of devotional service. Just by, you know, having a deity, then you need a building. And when you have a building, you know, then you need a kitchen. And you have like a building, then you need to invite people. You need to maintain the place. You need to collect money. Just from a deity alone, so much service is manifesting, even though it's not the Yuga Dharma of deity worship. But what is the main form of pleasing Krishna is chanting the holy name. So we're trying to invite people to come in here and chant. So then they have knowledge of Krishna, become purified, and then they'll feel complete and then they can finally chant with some feeling. And it says chanting is like a fire, and the fuel is the hearing about his glories and how wonderful he is. Then we can chant more and more. So this is not acquired by like great mystics and great scholars, philosophers, great thinkers, because they will never achieve a feeling. They're only trying to get advancement or get ahead by their own sweat of their brow. A philosopher, an intelligent person, is just like studying and then jumping from one side of the mind to the other side of the mind, exercising the intelligence to a great degree. And the mystic yogis, again, you know, drilling the breath, maintaining asanas, and, you know, forcibly restricting the senses from the sense objects. And these two personalities are kind of like the baby monkey that's holding on to the mother monkey. With his own strength, he's holding on. Whereas devotees, even though are not so strenuous in our like working hard to achieve a goal, we work hard. Yes, devotees do work hard, but we are not going to sort of deny our normal existence in this world, you could say. And we get so much more because we want to please Krishna and achieve that feeling for Krishna. And then Krishna is more merciful and uplifts us even further. That's inconceivable. Krishna's mercy. And it's funny, the Lord of the inconceivable way or Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga, yes, very inconceivable. I mean, especially like if you refer to brahmacharis, it looks like they don't do anything. You feel like that, they're not working a job. They're not, sort of stressed about much. And they seem to be so absorbed in Krishna. Sannyasis, they kind of just travel around and sometimes give a class and do a kirtan, and they consider the most advanced. Give some time with people, wear different clothes. It's inconceivable. But affection and love for the Lord is definitely, it cannot be boxed, it cannot be described. As the CC is describing, a mental speculator can never know the mind of a pure devotee. So this Bhagavatam actually is allowing us to enter into that inconceivable realm of the dealings between Krishna and his devotees, the love they share. And not only like to see that or experience that, associate with that, but to even be a part of it here and now in Brisbane. Become bridge buses in Brisbane. So yes, this is the great benediction of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Stop here, forgive me for jumping around different subjects. And I kind of, I don't know if I'm speaking to people because I only see boxes, so it's kind of weird. I feel like I'm talking to myself. So if you have a question, that'll be nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhu, you mentioned about the inconceivable nature of Krishna. And then, this is also emphasized in Brahma Samhita, Vedeshu Durlabha, Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. But then there is also always emphasis and focus on studying scriptures, on trying to get the right knowledge, as he also mentioned today. So how, these statements are quite contradictory. One saying Krishna cannot be achieved through knowledge, Vedeshu Durlabham, but then there is emphasis on scriptural study to know more about Krishna. Even for bhakti, we need to understand some knowledge. So Prabhu, can you please elaborate on that?
Yes, so it's the mood of reading through the scriptures. We're just, especially if we all got degrees and went through universities and high schools or whatever, then it's like just, keeping data, but to actually feel what's being presented, that's never been, like, you don't, what does it mean to sort of read and study, but like with feeling, with like prayer, you could say prayer. There's like a term going around this prayerful reading. Purujan Prabhu was pointing it out to us at the retreat in Govardhan. I think Bhakti Tirtha Swami would talk about this too. I think even Kadamba Kamaraj, he spoke about prayerful reading. And, one could approach the Bhagavatam in that way, as if you're like entering the temple, you offer obeisances to your spiritual master and the scripture. And you pray to the scripture that, okay, I have come ignorant and I want to know about you, but I don't know what's happening. Because the Bhagavatam is a person also, just like, the holy name, just like the deity. It's a person. And, Shrimvata Swakata Krishna's, this verse saying that the Supersoul in the heart is very pleased with our eagerness to know and more about him. So then from within, destroying material desires and enlivening us. So it is both like an austerity in the form of like what looks like study, but the feeling you get, the interaction with Krishna is very personal, and interactive. The book is not just like academic, it's very interactive. So what happens, say you read something or you attempt to read and there's a purport you don't understand. You can ask Kṛṣṇa, like, okay, I don't understand what's happening. You please reveal to me. And what will happen in your life, Kṛṣṇa shifts the world in such a way that you actually get the meaning, or you experience the purport yourself. So that's the idea. We should approach like the Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, not in the ways of like, okay, let me try and memorize it all and then I can show it off to the congregation, that I know so much. And yeah, you usually like, again, coming from a Hindu background, like that means you're religious, if you can just shoot slokas like ninja shurikens, you're really someone, people, you feel good about yourself, or like, some pastime no one else knows, Yeah, but this is not the purpose behind reading. The purpose is to, again, develop love for Kṛṣṇa, feeling for Kṛṣṇa. And the Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation, the literary incarnation in Kali Yuga. Fully accessible and yes, and fully interactive. It's this reading of Bhagavatam is putting rocket boosters in your life, and your spiritual life comes alive. And that's what's sitting on our bookshelves, still in its plastic. I'm not saying you guys, someone else. We get that accessibility. Same with the chanting of our rounds. There's so much available for us in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But problem is, yes, it's inconceivable. So it's only within one's heart that we can experience the magic of the study of scripture, the doing of service. People could say, oh, this is like just karma yoga, or something like that. Externally, it just looks normal, devotees don't seem so special. Oh, they eat so much and they just chant Hare Krishna in the street. They're not really helping anyone. So yes, on the surface level, just like these philosophers, these yogis, they're on the surface level because they're not trying to access that bhakti, that inconceivable way of having a loving exchange with the Supreme Lord. And we sort of feel like, well, I need to do more. I need to work hard. I need to do like something that's extraordinary. But we don't need to. Prabhupada just like package it in such a way that it's actually very simple and sublime. Sublime means like super esoteric. So it's very bewildering. So we kind of have to separate the surface from like the deeper, and that can only happen when we apply ourselves in the reading, in the chanting, in the service. I think, did I cover the question?
Yes, Prabhu. What I learned was that this is not a theoretical reading of scriptures. This is very dynamic. We should enter it in a prayerful mood, and then once we read it, it reciprocates with us because it's a person. And then Krishna also gives us experiential learning and realizations through the heart, by which we will actually know more about him and develop love for him. This is what I learned from your message.
Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly right. Like, say if you were to read a sentence, like say actually what we're reading here is a prayer by Śukadeva Gosvāmī. And then if you were to say like which line we could get into. We come to a line, as Viṣṇu enters into every body materially created. So then we think, okay, God is in me. Then you can just pray to, okay, my Lord, it says here, you're in my body, but I can't see you. You know what I mean? You can sort of stop with the prayer like that. It says you're the, Bhakti Yoga is the only way to, only those who engage in Bhakti Yoga can become competent to know you. You know, so like, please engage me in your service. You know, then you may chant around after that line. Please, you know, you chant Hare Krishna in that mode. And then the Lord of the inconceivable way, you're considered inconceivable. How am I supposed to conceive someone inconceivable? I need help. So there's so much impetus to create feeling in the form of prayer through reading.
Yes, Prabhuji, totally makes sense.
Okay,
Thank you.
7 o'clock. Thank you so much. I guess we can end it here unless there's burning questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Not a burning question, but more a comment. We're talking about the inconceivable, you know, how Krishna is inconceivable. I find devotees inconceivable as well, a lot of times. For example, when we look at brahmacharis, when you look at yourself, who are trying to get completely detached from the material world, wearing saffron all the time, doing harinams all the day. So in a way, getting detached from the world, but still being so attached to the instruction of a spiritual master. So I find that very inconceivable, this concept of attachment and detachment happening. It is to offer your life as a prayer. I mean, Śukadeva Gosvāmī is offering a prayer, but just to offer your entire life, I find such devotees very inconceivable. Just something, just a thought that came across my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I find many households inconceivable. How are they supposed to do all this chanting of rounds, do puja, do all this service at temples, also work a job, you know, 9 to 5 or even longer? Some are even running businesses, running to drop off kids and pick up kids, taking in their like extracurricular activities, and then also trying to make them devotees and then taking them to like programs for kids at the temple. And then they also render like so much service. They even go on Harinam. They find time and energy for Harinam, book distribution, holding festivals. Yet that's inconceivable to me too. I could never do that. You know, I feel like I'm not doing enough. So yes, it's inconceivable.
I guess all of us are getting glimpses of something higher, and we're trying to approach Krishna through devotees.
Yeah, this is what the Bhagavatam is all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And we'll see you in the new year. So obviously there's probably some New Year's Harinams in your area. If you can go for an hour or so, it'd be nice. Watch some fireworks. You don't have to go to midnight. Maybe get too messy with drunk people. But yeah, I highly encourage it. You'll see the inconceivable mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. People have come to go forget about Krishna, but then they get fully absorbed in his holy name. Hare Krishna. See you next time.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you.
Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Śrīla
Hare
Prabhupāda
Krishna.
ki jai.